Kevin Borba, Locked On Buffs. I sent you a tweet today, and it is from BetMGM that no one showed up to Shedeur Sanders' birthday party.
Yeah.
And that NFL GMs are losing faith in Shedeur after finding out that no one showed up to his birthday party. This just felt like 3 or 4 months of just a smear campaign against a kid who has been, by all accounts, awesome, especially at Colorado, especially the fans. Really, yeah, he's got swagger, cool, and now we want to do everything we can to tear him down. All the way to reports of no one coming to his birthday party. Is his draft stock really dropping this much? And why do we feel the need to tear down Shedeur Sanders?
It's a lot of loaded questions there. First of all, Kevin Costner's going to be pissed, right? He's going to be like, why? Why was no one at your birthday? Honestly, who wasn't at his birthday party was me. So I don't know if his teammates were there. But
and had you been invited, I would have gone.
I would have gone. Would have got him a gift. I don't know what he could need, but I would have got him a gift, right? Would have been thoughtful. But no, realistically, I think, first of all, I think there's so much, value in the eyes of social media personalities in being negative. And Shedeur Sanders' name is very clicky. And so when you go, I honestly, I hope that's a joke, right? They posted a picture of Kevin Costner from whatever that movie is, Draft something.
Draft Day, I think, yeah.
Thank you. And I think it's just a poorly timed joke. And I think there's a lot of people who find being negative funny and they know it's going to drive clicks, right? I think you talked about, is his draft stock falling? Wow, English is hard. I think in a way it could be, but I think it's calculated, right? I think Coach Prime has said this throughout the entire process that they have certain teams they want him to go to. And those reports out of the combine where it was like, hey, he didn't really care to meet with us. Yeah, he probably didn't want to play for you. And if there's any prospect in this draft or in past drafts who has the power or has a father who happens to be one of the best players to ever play with influence who could do that, it would be Shedeur Sanders. And so I wouldn't say his draft stock is necessarily falling. I think there's a team there for him in the first round. And if not, it'll be early second. But I think a lot of this slander is coming because, one, that's what we do with the NFL draft is we have to find things to pick apart. But two, when you have someone with a big personality as Shedeur Sanders, as much fame as he does, you have to poke holes in it. And I don't think we as a society can simply just be like, you know what, that kid has a famous dad who is one of the more cultural iconic people of all time. But we're going to identify him and sort of evaluate him as a football player, right? They have to evaluate him as the character who they think he is, right? They don't talk about him going to local schools to hang out with a kid who was bullied, right? They don't talk about him paying his teammates in NIL money because Colorado isn't NIL rich. They don't talk about that, right? They don't talk about him taking out his offense lineman at dinner. They don't talk about him never throwing his offense lineman under the bus, even though he was sacked 94 times in 2 years. Most quarterbacks would have been like, hey, I'd like to not die this week. But no, he didn't say that, but they don't talk about that, right? They talk about him flashing his watch. They talk about him doing whatever. And like I said, there's just more societal issues for multiple reasons in terms of people find it fun to criticize people. And there's also another factor that we both know is at play here.
So I'm reading the headlines. If you just Google Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah.
NFL insider warns teams of possible Deion Sanders factor. Shedeur Sanders ripped by anonymous coach before the draft. The worst formal interview ever. NFL coach destroys entitled Shedeur Sanders. Ranking the best team fit for Shedeur Sanders. It's the first nice one here. Criticism of Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders drops subtle hints about how he feels. Like, this is all tabloid stuff. Ashton Genty's not getting this. Even Travis Hunter is not getting this. Cam Ward is not getting this. How much of this, you mentioned that kind of that unnamed factor, the unspoken, but the elephant in the room. How much of this is the Sanders name? And how much of this is just like a successful young man that is getting completely berated because of factors he can't control?
Yeah, I think it's like 99.9% of like, it's the Sanders name. I think the other 1% is like, I think there are evaluators out there who are being honest and being like, you know what? There are flaws to his game where he takes too many sacks or he doesn't have the strongest arm. Like, if that's your criticism of Shedeur Sanders and that's it stops there, that's fine, right? Because that's criticism of Shedeur Sanders as a football player, and there's 500 prospects in this draft. Every one of them has a flaw. I'm not going to pretend he doesn't. But in terms of how much of it is his father and the name, it has to be all of it, right? It feels very and I don't want to compare him to this player because very different circumstances. Bronny James, though, right? Everyone was up in arms that Bronny James was drafted by the Lakers in the second round. Like, tell me who the 56th pick was. Tell me who the 54th pick was. Do we care? No. Like, they care so little about the second round of the NBA draft. Nikola Jokic was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. So don't tell me you care about the second to last player in the draft. But that being said, there was a lot of hate because who his father was. It's the same thing with Shedeur. From the moment he got into the big stage, he became the most attacked quarterback, right? You did that little exercise where you Googled Shedeur. If you Google Cam Ward right now, Cam Ward could be the most unlikely number one pick ever. If Cam Ward wants to wear number one with the Titans, Warren Moon will consider it. Another one, there's that canon. College coaches compare Cam Ward to NFL superstar, right? Like, there's so much different discourse surrounding him because they want to get. I mean, we're both in the business of getting views, Drake. Let's not pretend we're not.
Sure.
Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders, they get us views. I'm not going to pretend like I don't get views off their name. But how likely are we to get more views if we said Deion Sanders is the worst coach ever, right? Or Deion Sanders sucks, or Shedeur Sanders sucks, right? People want that. They live for that because they create a narrative about this person they've never met. They look at his father and go, well, he was cocky. He was flashy as a college guy. He walked out of an NFL draft meeting, which he did, right? Sure. No one's ever saying that Deion Sanders wasn't cocky or confident.
Sure.
But again, you have to be able to separate your dislike or disdain for a name with a person, right? And I think people are unable to do that. And so a lot of this is just too much, like, too quick for people. It's like, oh my gosh, his dad's famous and he's good at football. Like, we can't have both, right? You could have a famous dad. Like, no one's talking about the brother, which, I mean, granted, like, there's no reason to. I think he's going to go undrafted or late in the draft, but no one's talking about him, right? No one's talking about all these other quarterbacks, like Jack Del Rio's son. This is a random example. His son got an opportunity in the NFL, right? There's been other sons of quarterbacks or sons of NFL players who have been far less scrutinized. Terrell Owens' son was with the 49ers in some capacity this past year. Like, people only care if the name is worth caring about. And right now, Deion Sanders' name is big in the sport, and it's worth caring about. So, in essence, it's worth hating on.
Yeah. Dabo's son's out there.
Yeah.
You know, Andre Iguodala's son plays for the Baylor Bears in basketball, but most people don't.
They don't
get mad. They don't get mad. They don't care. They don't talk about it. It's not that there are no headlines.
And like, I have a question for you, Drake, since this is a crossover. Let me host for a second. This is the Locked On Best, Locked On Big 12 crossover. If his name, I tweeted this, if his name was Shedeur Johnson, he went to Colorado, no relation to Deion Sanders, and he breaks 100 school records, leads a program that was 1-11 2 years ago to a 9-4 record, do you think people care? Right? Do you think people are like, this Shedeur Johnson kid? Yeah. Like, do you think they care?
He's the best story in the draft.
Right.
You know, he's right there with Cam Ward as the best story in the draft. And I'm going to say it. I like that his jersey was retired. He's fifth all time in passing yards after 2 seasons. He got sacked 94 times. He had no offensive line and just did it himself and won 9 games in a program that had 2 winning seasons in 16 years. You were already probably going to retire it in 10 years anyway. I'm fine with it. I don't care. Guess what? Doesn't affect me. I'm never going to wear a jersey for Colorado football. So my number's not taken. I don't care.
Yeah, and I had a stance on that too. And I think part of this is it ties into what we're talking about, right? It's Shedeur Sanders. Like, no one cared about Travis's jersey being retired. Like, not a single person was like, Travis should not have his jersey retired. He wins 8 major awards, headlined by the Heisman. Everyone's like, cool. But that Shedeur Sanders guy, like, no one cares that he broke 100 school records, literally 100. No one cares that he only played FBS football for 2 years, yet is one of the most accomplished quarterbacks in college football history. No one cares about that, right? They care about his last name. And I think it just, the jersey thing, and this is what I said on my show, be mad at Colorado for not honoring legends before him.
Yep.
Don't be mad at them for using this opportunity to honor him now, right? Should Darian Hagan have his jersey retired? Probably. But is it Deion Sanders' fault that a quarterback who I wasn't even alive when he played, is it his fault that he didn't get his jersey retired? No. And I think it goes the same thing with the NFL, where people want to hate on him. Like, Drake, sorry to keep blabbering, but the first combine report about Shedeur, where it was like he's arrogant, he's brash or whatever, there was also reports saying that coach particularly doesn't like players who have a little bit of fame. who don't like players who have a little bit of money. Well, most of these guys have money now, and a lot of them have fame. So
you would hate Tom Brady or Joe Namath or any other NFL quarterback.
Right.
Deion put it great. What, you got to die to get your jersey retired? That's great.
I mean, it's sad. Like, I think that's sort of
awesome
it's like when people pass away, the rappers, musicians, athletes, it's like we honor them more. We think about them more when they pass away. It's like, why can't we change that? Right? Why can't we
just do it now? And you already know you're going to do it eventually. Borba, right. For listeners of Locked On Big 12, where can they find more of your work?
Yeah, you can find me over at Locked On Buffs. Doing some interviews with some of the new guys on Colorado's roster. Me and Drake will be chatting it up about Colorado all off season because your boy Drake Toll will be we'll be doing a home and home, if you will, and Drake brings a lot of insight and haters as well to the network, which we love him for.
See you in a couple weeks, Borba. This has been It Always Will Be Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. A Buffs crossover with Dose Grande.